Bhakti Yoga is known as the yoga of devotion or yoga of love, yoga of loving service, expressing love through our words, feelings, and actions. Bhakti Yoga consists of two words, Bhakti and Yoga. Yoga is a famous Sanskrit word, and oftentimes this word yoga tends to get understood as a mere physical bodily practice or asana practice. The root word of yoga is yuj in Sanskrit. And this yuj means that which connects. Connect what to what? Connect us, the individual soul, the jiva, jivatma, to the God, to the Supreme Soul, to the absolute truth, Paramatma. There are different types of yoga, like Bhakti Yoga that we are talking about here, or Hatha Yoga, the physical yoga that is most famous in the world, that are most practiced by many people today, and also Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and there are different types of yoga. Back to the meaning of Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti means the path of selfless service or path of devotional service. So Bhakti Yoga means a process of connecting or reconnecting ourselves, the soul, jiva, to the God, Supreme Lord, Paramatma, through the process of devotional service or the devotional action, devotional prayer. Bhagavad Gita is a spiritual text, and in Sanskrit, Bhagavat means the God, and Gita means song. So Bhagavad Gita, the song of the God. And Bhagavad Gita is a conversation that took place around 5,000 years ago between Arjuna and Sri Krishna, between the jiva, the soul like us, and the Bhagavan, the God, the Supreme Soul. And in this sacred text, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna explains about different process of self-realization or spiritual realization. Jnana Yoga is a process of knowing about the Supreme Lord or the knowing about the divine through the knowledge and meditation. Karma Yoga is a process of performing the actions with detachment to the fruit of action itself. Bhakti Yoga is a process of falling in love with the divine and life itself through seva, through service, devotional service. And Sri Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost because the Bhakti Yoga encompasses both Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge and wisdom, and the Karma Yoga, the yoga of actions with detachment. In order to fall in love with the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Person, we need to know the nature of the divine. Just as when we fall in love with someone in life, we want to know about that person, and it is effortless to get to know that person. And the love is selfless. When we express love to others or to the divine, that action shall be pure and shall be selfless from the heart. So in this sense, Bhakti Yoga encompasses both Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, and the yoga of action, the Karma Yoga, the yoga of action with loving detachment, selfless service. We offer our thought, speech, and actions and praise the Lord. And this Lord, Supreme Lord, this divine is in everything and everywhere. Yet this divine resides in the heart of all beings, in the heart of me and in all living beings. So this is the process. Bhakti Yoga is a process of cultivating the most intimate relationship between the soul, me, the jiva, and the Supreme Lord that resides in the heart, in the depth of the soul. Bhakti is a yoga of the personal relationship with the God. And all the practices help us to cultivate and deepen this relationship with the God. Bhakti Yoga is to feel deeply and bring this full feeling of the heart into the practice and into the whole of life. Cultivating awareness and pure devotion through practice and service, the highest vision of Bhakti Yoga is to serve at the lotus feet of the divine at all time, at every moment. Practice cultivates the awareness, it deepens, and eventually we want to live in this awareness of divine love at all time. And this is the highest vision of Bhakti Yoga. As we tap into this universal love, we naturally develop the sense of trust for life, because our intelligence realizes that we are all connected from our body. This information that we knew as information through our mind goes deeper into the embodied knowledge. So as our Bhakti Yoga practice deepens, then we start to trust life more, because we are fully aware that we are all provided and we are all protected as a children of the divine, as a spiritual children of the divine spirit. And as our capacity of love opens more and more, we also naturally develop the sense of compassion for all beings. We start to see that depending on the different life situation or the different stage of the spiritual understandings, yet we are eternally children of the divine. And in that essence, we are all same, finding our way home to where we came from, the divine's arms. So we start to feel the compassion for all beings as well as a true experience as our bhakti practice gets deepened. We start to trust the creation of God. And we offer ourselves fully to serve with love towards the harmony of this world that we live in together. Not only including this earth, but including the entire universe. We strive to serve with love towards the harmony of the entire world. The practice of Bhakti Yoga is to cultivate and awaken divine love within the heart. According to Bhagavata Purana, which is one of the traditional Bhakti texts, there are 9 basic practices of Bhakti Yoga, how we can cultivate this divine love through which kind of practices. So let's have a look at those practices. So here is the 9 basic practice of Bhakti Yoga, according to Bhagavata Purana. There are 9 steps in total. It doesn't mean that we have to practice step by step from 1 to 9. We can practice some different branches of practices at the same time, and some practice overlaps to each other as well. In that sense, these 9 guidelines of the practice are similar to Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga system. So you can think this system just as so. So let's have a look. First practice is Shravana. Shravana is a practice of hearing stories of the divine. How is the nature of the divine? How the divine acts and perceives the entire universe, and we want to know about the divine. So Shravana is the practice or process about the knowing about the truth. The second practice is Kirtana. Kirtana is ecstatic singing of the devotional songs. We often chant the names of the divine to strengthen this personal, intimate relationship from our heart with the divine. Third practice is Smarana. Smarana means constant remembrance of the divine through the different means of the bhakti practices. And these three practices, Shravana, Kirtana, and Smarana, those three are the foundational practice of the Bhakti Yoga. And if you're new to Bhakti Yoga, this is how you start this path or process of falling in love with the divine. And even if you are advanced Bhakta, the practitioner of the Bhakti Yogis, these practices will never leave you. So these are the foundational, essential practices of Bhakti Yoga. Shravana, Kirtana, and Smarana. The fourth and fifth, Pada Sevana, is a process of serving at the feet of the divine. Usually it also involves a process of volunteering in the holy temple. And if you have some local temple who practice Bhakti Yoga, and you might be really, really interested in to visit and spend time with them. For this reason, for the practice of Pada Sevana, I personally, if I have an opportunity, I try to go India quite often to serve at the feet of the divine and give a service, the devotional service at the temple. About a couple of years ago, about maybe 1.5 years ago, that was the last time when I was in India, I remember on the day of the appearance of Radharani, who is the beloved of Sri Krishna. So this is like a birthday of Radharani. And this is like a glorious day, like a Christmas. Like even if you're not Christian, you somehow celebrate Christmas. So Radhashtami, the appearance day of Radharani, is like that kind of day. Like you can feel the festivities in the air. And those ashrams or the temples who practice the path of Bhakti Yoga, they serve and offer so much prasadam, the food, the blessed food to the community. And I remember for a few hours cutting almonds, chopping the almonds to decorate the special sweets on that day of Radhashtami. There was no food processor or blender or things like that. Everything is human power, especially in Vrindavan in India. And during this process of cutting the almonds, chopping the vegetables for the other friends and devotees who are on the same path of the heart. And this process of serving, this process of volunteering, this selfless service cleanse our hearts. And this process will make us learn what truly means selfless service with a loving heart. Fifth practice is called Archana. Archana means ceremonial worship of the sacred with ritual, icons, visualization. Archana includes the puja, the ceremonial worship. We often offer food, fire, water, the scent, and the darshan, our sight, and all our feelings. So this practice, Pada Sevana and Archana, are possible if you have a temple nearby or if you happen to be on some pilgrimage. And some serious bhakta has a home temple in home. So they can do the puja at home. And as our Bhakti Yoga practice deepens, then you might start to have a call to have your home temple as well. And the last 4 practices, from 6 to 9, these are very sublime paths of Bhakti Yoga. These last 4 practices, this principle of Bhakti Yoga, develops as a result of the first 5 practices. We can't really focus too much on that. They go hand in hand and they overlap each other. And as we tap into the universal love, naturally we develop the sense of the feelings, the supreme love springing from the heart. So Vandana means prayer or praise, seeing the divine everywhere and in everything. And then this attitude of seeing the divine everywhere will be cultivated through the practice of the first 5. And the same for the rest. Dasya. Dasya is a process of cultivating an attitude of being a servant. And being a servant sounds not really fun for some Western conditioned mind, but servant is not a punishment. We are happy to serve. We are happy to support this God's work of creation. And we are the part of the divine. So we have only one choice: to serve with love. So this is a joyful process of cultivating an attitude of being a humble servant to serve at the feet of the divine. Sakya is a process of cultivating a friendship with the God. And we start to see that the God is a friend, some close friend that you can say everything, you can share anything, that when you need someone right next to you, this divine will be always there for you. So cultivating that friendship with the divine is Sakya. Atma Nivedana. This would be the highest vision of Bhakti Yoga practice, offering everything up with full surrender to the divine, including our thoughts, including our words and actions. Everything that we think, everything that we say, everything that we do shall be all offered up to praise the God, praise the divine. So these are the 9 basic practices of Bhakti Yoga. Those process obviously doesn't happen just in one day. This is an ongoing path, and it's rather a lifestyle. It's rather how we show up every moment with the understanding of the supreme love that is everywhere and the source is within the heart. We'd like to take a look at the first 3 basic practices of Bhakti, Shravana, Kirtana, and Smarana, to cultivate this awareness of Bhakti in our daily life.